want to give your children the three C's: courage, character, and a self-protective conscience. If you do that, you will have an amazing child. And not only that, you'll pat yourself on the back because they will make you proud. So every child can make a parent proud, but parents, you have to make your child proud of you.
That you could even just, in that darkness, you know, latch on to that light is...
It's the only hope I had.
You know, but you were aware, and that's the thing, like, sometimes people are in complete darkness and they don't see that, you know, tiny, you know, bit of light.
That's true. I think Las Vegas could be a huge example.
I agree. I mean, we're internationally known, and if something changes here, people are going to look at us and be like, what's going on in Las Vegas? And
agreed.
And try to implement the same, you know, in their communities. Can you tell us maybe what are some action steps that parents can take, maybe just a few things that they can do right now to help their children, you know, and prevent and go in the right direction?
Well, number one, tell your kids that they are amazing, that they have so many gifts within themselves. They're undiscovered. You don't know what your child's gifts are. So you want to kind of give them some avenues to look at, get them involved in different things. And maybe one of them will really trigger something. There's a young man that was given a guitar, and all of a sudden he started playing his guitar. I mean, he loved it. He wanted to learn more. Musical instruments are great. Expose them to different things. Take them, you know, a lot of our places are not expensive. You might not have money, but there are things out there. You can take a bus, take your children to different events. There are things that go on in the park. There are events that our communities put on, special events for children. And watch them, see how they react. How do they interact with other people? One of the things I do in empowerment parenting is give kids the tools to evaluate their friends. You know, is this a happy friend? Is this a friend that's going to pick me up? Or is this one that's going to pull me down? What do I look for in a friend? What do I look for in my life? What do I want for myself? Kids can answer some of those questions at a very early age, you know, and believe them when they say something to you. But don't lead them. Don't lead them. Let them come up with their own thoughts. It makes me very sad to see parents that have split, divorced, and they're leading their kids into saying things about their spouse that's negative and maybe abuse and so forth. That's very sad. A child needs both their parents. Anger is the worst thing you can do for yourself. Anger can turn into revenge, and I address that in the book, how to handle your anger, because we got an awful lot of people that don't know how to handle their anger. And it's basically they have unmet issues from their past. If you see people screaming on television and yelling, what you're looking at is someone that has issues of their own.
Share with us, how did you get started in what you do?
Well, it started for me in my community of 17,500 people. We were an unincorporated community. That meant we were a volunteer community. We didn't have a mayor. We didn't have any city council. We were unincorporated, so we were covered by the sheriff's department. So we had 1.5 police officers for the whole area, and we had a crime wave. Well, at first we were going, oh my gosh, we need more cops. And we did hire, so we had 2 cops, and we decided to do a program called the Neighborhood Responsibility Program. And we went out to neighbors, people that we knew, and we said, you have to take charge of your own neighborhood safety because we don't have the manpower. Well, everybody's kind of going, why don't we have cops here? We need 20 cops. Mm-hmm. And we said, well, that's not going to happen. So in the meantime, we've got to organize and work together. So within 2.5 years of going out and working with the 2 police officers we had, they would give specific data, and half of our problem were our own children. And that's true in any community because, as I said, that's the peak age is 16 for burglaries, 18 for violent behavior. And it drops down from there, but half of it was our own kids. As a result of our neighborhood responsibility program, we reduced crime 48% within 2.5 years. Well, at that time, we got lots of publicity, and we got people very interested. How did you do that? You don't even have a police department, because everybody thought, hey, it's up to the cops. Well, we got so many inquiries that we wrote this book, Alternative to Fear, which is on our website, by the way. The whole book, you can read it. Guidelines for Safer Neighborhoods, and it helped launch the National Neighborhood Watch program. That goes back quite a few years, 54 or whatever. It's a long time ago. Anyway, the people in our community were, when they saw a need, they jumped and they said, we can do this, and they did it. I think the same thing holds true today. If you're a single mom, grow your extended family. I mean, there must be some members in the family that are supportive. So make sure you establish those relationships and keep them going and growing. So it's going to take a lot of work for all of us to raise our collective children, but it can be done. I've seen it done. I've witnessed the amazing results of kids that. Can I tell you one more story?
Absolutely.
All right. These come to mind as we're talking here. I was in a neighborhood meeting, and the conversation was about how to make our neighborhood safe. But it's quickly switched to 2 little boys that were in the neighborhood, 7 and 9, and they were vandalizing, they were knocking down mailboxes, they were pulling up flowers. They were just driving everybody crazy. And one guy said, yeah, I called the cops on these kids.
Oh my gosh.
And the cops said, talk to the mother, but he said, I can't do too much about it. These kids are 7 and 9 years old. Mm-hmm. And one other said, well, I went over and banged on her door, and she came to the door, and I told her, she got to get those kids straightened out. She slammed the door in my face. Okay. Now, you've got a situation where these 2 kids are driving the neighbors nuts, right? Well, one lady spoke up and she said, well, now, wait a minute. Nice, calm lady, no anger. She said, yes, I've seen these problems. And she said, why don't we try something different? How about if a couple of us that are tactful, she didn't say that, but she was intimating that somebody with a calm demeanor go over and talk to the mother and tell her, we're not there to accuse you, we're there to help you. We see the kids are having some problems, how can we help? So they went over, and at first the mother was very defensive. Mm-hmm. And then they told her that, we're not here to blame, maybe you need some help, or what can we do to assist? Well, they were sitting on the couch, and the mother burst into tears. She said her husband had been arrested. He was in jail. He was going to prison. The boys were very angry, and they were acting out, and she said, I can't get control of them. I just can't. Well, as a result of the conversation, the neighbors decided to adopt the boys and include them in their outings with the kids, their kids, and take the boys with them one at a time or different age groups. So they made a plan. And 10 years later, I ran into this mother. And I said, I remember you. And I said, how are the boys doing? I said, we were in that neighborhood. She said, oh, yes. She said, I could not have done it without my neighbors. They were my lifesaver. She was just beside herself. And she gave me a big hug, and she said, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, was the neighbors. So one boy was in junior college, and the other boy was doing great in high school. She said that wouldn't have happened without them.
Yeah, they probably would have been in juvenile detention.
They would have.
They would have had, some records. Yeah, they could have gone down a very different path.
Definitely. And they were headed that way.
Yeah.